All right, 5 political stories to wrap up the week. I'm going to kick it off the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Lots of jokes. Last Saturday night, turns out, jamming 2,600 people into a ballroom is actually a COVID super spreader. Lots of reporters and guests have come down with COVID. Guess what? We all knew it. Dr. Fauci actually was onto something by skipping the dinner. Anyway, moving on. Big news out of the Supreme Court, that leaked decision coming out of the Supreme Court saying that they're going to overturn Roe versus Wade. 5 conservative judges in a first draft saying that they're going to overturn it. We expect to see a final decision coming out in late June, possibly earlier than that. But for now, we got a lot of protests. We'll see how much activity heats up. The Senate says that they're going to vote on a legislative package next week to codify it in law. They don't have the votes, though, so this is mostly for show. Moving on. Ohio, big shocker this week. J.D. Vance, who had been in 3rd place in the polls in that Senate primary, catapulted to 1st place after President Trump endorsed him, showing that that endorsement was worth its weight in gold. However, the other side story that I thought was important is the outsized importance that the super PAC supporting J.D. Vance played. Peter Thiel dumped over $15 million into that super PAC. It did everything from his teletown halls to opposition research, made everything set that a campaign would normally do, took care of everything, helped propel him over the top. JD now poised to go into that general election facing off against Democrat Tim Ryan. He's in strong position to win. It'll be really interesting going forward. Story number 4. The Ministry of Truth Bureau set forward by the Department of Homeland Security. Interestingly enough, going forward, this bureau that the Department of Homeland Security set up, they're starting to walk it back already. They appointed a head of the bureau who caused a lot of ruckus over whether she was the right choice. It'll be interesting to see. Republicans are already saying that they will defund this when they take the majority back in November of this year. They're catching a lot of flack for how they rolled this thing out at the Department of Homeland Security. Why do we need a Ministry of Truth, of disinformation? Is this the right place to do it? A lot of disinformation coming out of this board to begin with. It'll be really interesting to see how this thing moves forward. And then last, interestingly enough, to wrap up the week, Press Secretary Jen Psaki stepping down, finally knowing what we've known since the news broke on April 1st, that she is leaving to go take a job at MSNBC's new streaming service, and naming her successor, Karine Jean-Pierre, who had been at MSNBC as a political commentator. She is married to a CNN reporter. That presents further ethical questions about not just how long Jen stayed on the job, and taking questions knowing that she was going to go work at MSNBC, taking questions from her future colleagues in the briefing room every day, but that you have an incoming press secretary whose partner is currently employed by CNN. That will be interesting how that thing plays out, although you're not getting a lot of questions in the current briefing room. What's coming up on the agenda? Pennsylvania. That's going to be the next big test of President Trump's endorsement. He's endorsed Dr. Oz. That primary is scheduled for May 17th. It'll be a real test. There's a car crash at the top. McCormick, Dr. Oz, and now Kathy Barnett. She did really well in those debates. We're going to see how this plays out. New attack ads going against McCormick with former Secretary of State and CIA Director Mike Pompeo questioning Oz's service and votes in the Turkish elections. Be really interesting to see how those attack ads play out over the next 2 weeks. Enjoy the weekend.